I think everybody dies.
Oh, she's remembering, people. She's remembering.
Am I right?
Captain's Pod, Stardate 2202, 16.4. Welcome aboard the Starship Enterprise, and thank you for joining us on our continuing voyages through the final frontier. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she's on some kind of Star Trek. It's Ambassador Deneé.
I am on some kind of... Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? You're the definition of some kind of Star Trek.
Yeah, just an undefined life. I was always really amazed by people, kind of like my cousin at one point. She just like knew exactly what she wanted to do, and then she went out and she did that thing.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? What does that feel like to know exactly what you want to do?
I like your cousin. I don't trust those people.
Oh, okay.
I have never been that, but I would love to be. Like people that become like mechanics or like bioengineers or mechanical engineers. I don't know. But something usually mechanic is very specific, and that's what they're going to do, and they follow that path, and they just always was. And yeah, I never had
or
that
they
either.
find contentment, in that space. Like that's really kind of maybe what I'm learning, is to find contentment on my own individual Star Trek as I fumble my way through in some sort of a way that I hope brings people happiness.
I may change that in the description. Fumbling our way through some kind of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ambassador. I kind of want to kick this off by reading you a quote. This is our last episode in our anniversary season. Captain's Pod is now 4 years old. We have done a little bit of a dive into the Borg and Locutus. So we've had Q-Who, The Best of Both Worlds, Part 1 and 2, First Contact. We've hit some huge pieces of Star Trek history. We're finishing it up with Family, which is...
It is an episode that we were forced into.
We were emotionally blackmailed by certain listeners into doing it. I was lambasted for not automatically including it, and we've managed to rejig the schedule so that we can get it in. It is the de facto part 3 to The Best of Both Worlds. And the quote that I wanted to read you was from one of our listeners, just to prep you a little bit. One of our listeners, Link, took to Discord and messaged us in the Star Trek Spoiler Talk, which is where people talk about the upcoming episode and spoilers. And his message was just, I've just finished watching Family, and then all caps. You guys could have warned me it was an emotional episode.
Oh no, is it really?
He was so mad in an understandable way.
Oh no, what am I going to watch? We do not give
any warnings. His next message was, I didn't think it would be that bad. I blame Ian. So, with that, Ambassador, give us some predictions about what's going to happen in Family.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I didn't know until now that I was going to be in for something emotional. So, I know a few things. I know, obviously, the theme of our season, and I know that there was an uproar when we didn't include this.
Mm-hmm,
and as I've been talking about Picard's emotional trauma after being assimilated by Borg, that people would pop off in the comments like, this is why she should watch Family. So I have been assuming that this is going to be this show's attempt at reconciling Picard with who he is now after assimilation and remembering his place and his part. So I'm wondering if it's going to be essentially a living eulogy where everyone on the ship at some point has a come to Picard moment, sits down and is like, this is why I care for you, love you, respect you, want you to be a part of this. Don't give up, Picard, because I feel like that would be emotional turmoil.
That would be amazing if Deanna just said, here's your therapy, Jean-Luc. Every single crew member is going to come to you and say why they love you.
I don't remember the first time I ever saw, like in a movie or a TV show, the idea of somebody attending their own eulogy. Have you ever seen this play out on TV or
it's
before?
Usually a character, like if they're playing a ghost, or it's like they assume that, I mean, this happens in Star Trek in an episode called The Next Phase. Two characters attend their own funeral. I can't think where else. I mean, there's definitely other places it happens in movies.
Yeah. The idea is really interesting, though.
Yeah, what would people say about you?
And then also, what should they have said while you're still alive? I think that's something that we've been wrestling with, just as you and I have been talking in our personal lives about making sure that we're spending intentional time with people and that they know how much they mean to us. Like, I just sent my dad a Happy New Year's message. I love you so much. I thought, is that too vague? Do I need to be more specific about why I love him and the things specifically that he does I think are really valuable? Because I've told him so many times that I think he's incredible and amazing and he's been such a great dad. But those are all pretty bland ways of saying the specifics of what I think are amazing about him.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like intrigues me in entertainment about an episode like that is that that's when you get more specific.
When it's too late?
When it's too late. But in this case, it's potentially Picard coming back to his humanity, so to speak. So it's not too late. Maybe it's the voices that call him back from the void of whatever he's been, assimilated into.
The voices that call him back from the void.
In one of the Captain's Pod channels on Discord, I was catching up on some that I had been missing these last few weeks. And someone called me a prophet. It's like,
well, the time travel shit from First Contact. There's no need for you to predict that they'll go back in time and wear clothing. It's fucking out of pocket is what it is.
It's the old, and then I think the comment after was, or maybe she pays attention to patterns, and that really could just be all it is.
Yeah, but where's the pattern? I guess the pattern of movies going back in time, but
when you're in a sci-fi environment, you're gonna play around with certain themes.
How can you not have Geordi reinvent time travel based on some scannings?
That specificity, I did not predict.
Why would you? Because it's fucking insane.
Anyway.
We'll see you in 10 Forward for a full debrief, assuming the ambassador joins me. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important thing first, ambassador, what would you like from the replicator?
Oh, I mean 47, right?
Or is it the 46?
I'm pretty sure it's 47.
Yeah, no, it's the 47. What I want, and this is perfect, I want the cylindrical, useless carry case tube that Data uses to pack up two things in Measure of a Man when he's fired or quits. And that Picard uses to travel. The duffel bag that's plastic, you can fit nothing in it because it's so inflexible and rigid. Like, it's useless, but I want one and I'm going to 3D print one, okay? If I can't find one, I'm going to design it and print it.
Okay.
Give us a synopsis.
I mean, nothing happened like I thought was going to happen. My predictions were all wrong. And
that's nonsense. Your prediction was fine.
My prediction was fine, but it is not what happened. And that's the most important part of this episode. I mean, there's definitely some therapy going on, but it's not what I expected. In today's episode, the ship is being repaired after it's run-in with the Borg.
Run-in.
After it's near decimation by the Borg.
There we go. Yeah.
Is it better?
I don't like decimation either because that just means 10%. Decimation has become like a misnomer over the years. Like, if you decimate something, it means you remove 10% of it, which isn't that bad.
Oh, because it's a decimal?
Yeah, well, deco, and 10, basically.
Okay. You're
removing 10 out of 100.
Cool. Picard visits his brother. The end. Carry on, Captain.
Ambassador. Okay, so it didn't line up with any of your predictions, but no, well, it kind of did. Your prediction was attempting to reconcile Picard with who he is now, remembering his place in his heart. A living eulogy. Everyone has come to Picard for a moment. The voices that call him back from the void. Voices that call him back from the void was the one that I really liked because that was his family on Earth calling him back from the void that would be Project Atlantis.
I don't know. Or space. Yeah, but in my imagination, he goes to bed and then it's just like he's visited like the Christmas ghosts of past, present, and future. And they're just like kind of talking to him about these things. That's not at all what happened.
No.
He kind of accidentaled his way into his decisions.
It kind of would have been, actually, a Christmas Carol would have been a perfect resolution to this. Picard does a Christmas Carol. That would have been amazing. Yes, Picard returns to Earth. Worf does stuff with his parents and Wesley still exists. Should we take it from the very top?
Sure.
Beautiful shot of the Enterprise. I'm sorry. I love this shot of the Enterprise so much. It's so brightly lit. It's in its little docking claws. It's getting some attention. How beautiful is this ship, Ambassador?
It's great. I love it when they do the close-ups because then you can kind of go, I think that's my room.
Yeah, you asked me, where do I live?
Yeah.
And I'd never thought about where I'd live in the ship because I'm always working.
I do not believe that for one second that
honestly.
You've never thought about where you would be.
No, I haven't.
On the ship. Like, if you could pick any place to lay your head at the end of the night, where would it be?
I don't lay my head. I'm always working. I'm in one of the cool places. I'm either on the bridge in engineering in the holodeck. I'm in one of those three places. I don't have a cabin because there's so much cool shit to do on the ship.
You have to sleep. You're a human.
No, I don't.
You're not an elf.
Hyposprays. Constant stimulus. We must have cured sleep by the 2400s.
There's studies about what happens to people when they don't sleep.
Well, yeah, they tend to die, but
yeah.
I'm assuming by 2364 we've actually fixed that problem.
Okay. I would want to be on the battle bridge. I've decided that it's underused. And
agreed.
I would, put up a little hammock, and then that way, in the off chance something goes crazy and people need to be on the battle bridge, I'm right there in the action.
I think that's genius. I think that's the right answer. How lost were you, and this is a loaded question, with the Worf issue?
Oh, I have no fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah, the discommendation.
Yeah. It's been a long time since you have not prepped me properly for an episode.
Yeah.
This is certainly in that category.
Can I tell you what happened in my brain? Not with Worf, because we're going to get to that.
Okay.
But what happened in my brain with this episode?
Okay.
I can't explain what happens with Worf. We're going to do that arc later.
What do you mean? You're not going to tell me what happened?
No, I can't, because we're going to experience it. We're going to watch it. I'll give you a brief overview. I'll give you what you need to know, but nothing specific. But what happened with Ian's brain is that I remembered the three separate parts of this episode: Picard on the planet, Worf with his parents, and Wesley. But Worf with his parents, there's another episode where Worf's parents appear, and they basically come to the ship to say, your kid's a fucking nightmare. We don't want him anymore. Because Worf sends Alexander to live on Earth with his parents because they have experience raising a Klingon child. And Worf's like, I can't do this. It's a fucking nightmare. I don't want to do it. Send him away. They come to the ship and say, Alexander's having problems. He needs his father. We're too old to do this shit. Please take him back. He's a bastard. They don't use those words. I thought that was this episode, but it's much later. So what they're actually here to talk to Worf about is some drama that happened between him and the Klingon Empire, which has basically meant that he's kicked out from Klingon society. That's the bottom line. But it's so shameful he doesn't want to talk about it. So they're trying to work out how to approach all of that. So I just have to apologize that I didn't prep you for that because I forgot it happens in this episode.
I don't know how to say that's okay.
You don't have to say that's okay.
Confused. Yeah. I feel like it was just I don't know. This episode was really weird for me.
Tell me about it.
I'm still trying to figure out if I liked it. I think I did.
Interesting.
But yeah, the Worf stuff was pretty uncomfortable. And I guess it was supposed to be that way.
Oh, 100%.
Worf was uncomfortable with his parents visiting. Wesley's uncomfortable with his parent visiting. And Picard is uncomfortable with visiting his brother whose parent is gone.
Wesley is uncomfortable with his family visiting.
He is.
His dead dad's hologram.
Yeah. So it was kind of like everything that I thought was going to be happening. And this is why sometimes pre-thinking about it, going, "Ooh, I think this is what's going to happen this episode," sets you up a little bit. This might be one of the biggest disappointments I've had in watching.
Oh, interesting.
A show with you. But it's just the pacing is just very different. Like we've been like Borg. But
don't you think it needs that for this resolution episode? Like for this, I'll tell you why it doesn't work for me. Like overall, I love most of this episode. What doesn't work for me overall is Worf and Wesley. Like those two bits of the episode feel the most tacked on of any episode I've ever seen. This needed to be just Picard in France. That should have been when he leaves the Enterprise, we don't go back. Like there is enough to fill 45 minutes with him in France. I don't. It's where this like episodic must fill 45 minutes of television thing really lets it down. I don't think we need Worf and Wesley's nonsense.
I don't don't know. I think this episode is really getting into the tie-in that all three of those stories are about men defining themselves in relation to their father, the present father, the absent father, the biological father, the adoptive father. There's like a symbolism in this of like your parentage. It's like the Starfleet edition of like daddy issues or something, you know? And so I think that what they're doing is they're taking three, and they even show like at the end with Renee, you know, that relationship. So I think it's really about heritage and finding your own way as an individual, because, you know, we haven't seen Worf in a position of being like the young child that needs to be reared up and loved and cared for and coddled and micromanaged in whatever way that you think, like whatever the kind of dynamic. We're not used to seeing that. We're used to seeing like this dominant force of a very confident father, mother, it is good to see you. Yes. Like this kind of, you know.
I swear Worf shrinks whenever he's around them. Like I'm sure he like gets shorter, and it's just funny to see him like almost regress when he's with his parents. It's like kind of the softest that we see Worf as well. Like when Riker calls him away, he's like, tell Guinan if you need anything to call me, please. Like he's really gentle and soft with them.
So we're seeing these different dynamics, and I guess like that is what I am. There is something that this show is trying to do. I just don't know that I've arrived at it at the time of the recording of this episode, you know, because there's even this idea of Picard facing the father that he has become, even though he is not a father, which is so this is all about, yeah, you know, he chose Starfleet and ambition and this sort of like legacy, and he's dealing with the Borg's violation of using his authority and his experience as a weapon. As like, what man is he becoming, and what man would he become if he's a father? And then Robert is like the symbolism of their father, because he's the guy who became what his father wanted him to be instead of becoming the symbolic.
Yeah,
you know,
Robert is their father.
Yeah, like. You left us, you know, and at what cost did it have to the family, to legacy, to how things are done? We don't have a replicator. We have people that cook. We are preserving a lifestyle. You know, there's like this very Amish sense to it, sort of this preservation. And then you've got Wesley and Beverly's sort of choosing to give Wesley this time capsule of what it means to have lost a father and to stand before an echo of reality and see if you're stacking up to wear the Starfleet uniform, the regretful young father who never knew that their end was coming, and that like sort of innocence and all of that. And this sort of, so you've got that father's complex, and then the son who is now 18, who is looking to them for some kind of like, I don't know, is absolution the right word? Just some sort of like definition of who they are or direction. And this arc clearing. Of like, do you become yourself when your father's story is completely unfinished? Like, do you like this?
You never got to make any more hologram recordings.
Yeah. And Worf chooses his father. So like, you don't get a choice on who your father is, but like then Worf gets to choose his. He's saying like, you are, even if his parents are never going to be Klingon enough because they're human, there's still something of him at the very end kind of going, I am glad you came. And then just this sort of genuine acceptance of their presence meaning something to him. So this is all daddy issues.
It's a lot of daddy issues, and it's like, it is trying to connect everything together, and like family makes us, and how much trauma is like linked to the choices our parents made, and like they're doing the best that they could or doing the best that they wanted to do. But I feel like that's a little bit misplaced in this episode. And it's like, it almost does it. It almost goes full make Best of Both Worlds a 3-parter, and actually, instead of being just episode of the week television, actually carry feelings and development through and deal with it. Like, what if this had been, and this is, we often do this, we rewrite the episode. If you're going to have a B plot, I kind of want it to be about Riker and Deanna. Like, stay with me. Riker and Deanna reconnect on Earth, and this is where their relationship rekindles. So in the aftermath of Best of Both Worlds, with all of the decisions Riker had to make, including staying on the Enterprise, why not get into them kicking up their relationship and him apologizing for leaving her, or like kind of coming to terms with why he did it and that he's ready now to like split himself between his career and having a family as well. Like there could have been still a family element there. The Worf and Wesley stuff, just if it was a little bit disconnected from the best of both worlds, when the Jean-Luc stuff is like so immediate aftermath.
I will say, I think that we should have spent more time with Patrick Stewart and Robert. I think that the writers really gave some rich storytelling in their back and forth, and that the delivery from the person who was playing Robert was a little bit lost. It was a little muffled, like you couldn't quite hear what he was saying, and so
he just seems like a curmudgeon-y old man, doesn't he?
Which is great. That's what he is. But their back and forth was evident in their acting. That the brother is kind of pushing Picard's buttons, and Picard through that relationship and the dynamic of expectations of what he should be or what he became, and the jealousy and all of that. It was a lot. And I think that they could have unpacked it in a different pace to sort of get to that emotional crescendo where we have Picard finally saying some of the things that he needed to say about being used by the Borg. But like, for me, this is an important part of the Borg, kind of like of Picard's healing process. But I guess because we're doing a kind of a deep dive on it, that I did expect it to take up more of the time.
Yeah.
However, again, it's really tied to what family means, and to like Guinan talks about going home, looking out to the stars, which Guinan being in another episode of this Borg thing is really interesting, right?
Yeah, I love that she's a thread through all three.
So she talks about family and like the idea of going home, the idea of home visiting you, the idea of home always being inside of you. Like with Wesley's dad, he's like, we have a bond that will always be there. So home and family, this sort of concept, it's like this episode's trying to say, it's like deciding which parts of you, like in your upbringing and things, that you're going to choose to carry forward, what you're going to be embarrassed by, what you're going to let define you, and what you're going to finally stop, like what you're going to put down, like what you're no longer going to, it doesn't serve you anymore. And that's a really important thing to always consider, is that like who you were born into, the family you were born into, none of us had a choice in that. And at some point in time, we do get to have control over our journeys, like where they take us. And at some point we decide what voices to listen to that guide us there. And there's consequences for all of that. And if you choose to let someone else define who you are and not do what's inside of you, you're going to be living your life for someone else. And this episode plays with that as well. And it looks at Picard as a person who unapologetically embraced that breaking tradition can still be really valuable. And if he became this great man that we are, obviously in love with and enjoying. But at every point in time, like what makes you you? And like Wesley, what would have made Wesley had his father been there to guide him?
Would he have actually become a doctor? Because his dad's presence would have like stifled him. Maybe his dad's presence would have pushed him into the medical field. Maybe his absence of a father pushed him into Starfleet to fill a hole.
Instead he's doing it's. This is the kind of stuff that you'll think about a lot when you let yourself sort of like get into it.
Yeah.
But the Borg stuff is just kind of this little bitty part of it. But the big question that this episode poses is Picard in a place where he is ready to say goodbye to Starfleet and say and welcome something new?
Yeah.
And of course, watching this, you don't think for 1 second that he's going to leave Starfleet, and that's always hard. But he was tempted.
It is, but the point is, I believe that he is tempted. Like, as much as we know he's in episode 3, I believe that he's tempted. And there's a great moment that I only noticed this time. It's right at the beginning of the episode. Deanna has done her basic ass shit psycho-analyzing. What do you think, Picard, about your choices? And I've always had an issue with this opening. Like, Deanna seems very judgmental when I think everything Picard is saying makes sense. And maybe that's just the point of a counselor, is to question everything even if it sounds logical. But him reconnecting with his home, it sounds like great advice. But when we get through all of that, he packs his bag and then he goes to his door and he leaves. And then he looks over his shoulder and looks at his quarters and then turns around and goes. And everything is deliberate. Every look is intentional. Everything means something. So this time I was really thinking about it. And I wonder if a bit of him knew there was a chance he wasn't coming back. Like, was that did he know that was the last time he's looking at his quarters potentially? Because he's like, there's a chance I'm going to want to come home. And the thought of coming back to the Enterprise is too painful. Like, and that's just like a moment that I hadn't picked up on until this watch through. So I think the way Patrick Stewart plays it is excellent. I really think he believes there's a chance he's not coming back.
Yeah, I think he's wrestling with what everything means when he's faced day to day with what it. You can face all kinds of unexpected problems in life. That's true as a human on Earth, not in this environment. But in Star Trek world, all of a sudden your body can be taken over by a Borg and you could be used as...
Yeah.
And so there's this unknown danger lurking in every episode as far as what could happen.
Yeah, what fucked up thing could happen this week to me?
Yeah, and TNG is very cleverly making it more real by watching someone go through the trauma. And I think that's one thing I really like about this episode is that I think it's important to watch. They gave an episode to watch someone struggle and wrestle with something.
Yeah.
And we do get to fill in a lot of the blanks because it's not very evident. But Picard's like returned back to the vineyard and his confidence and his place in the family. It's all just very much, it's uncomfortable. And I think that's important to remember.
20 years is a long time. That's a long time to be away. 20 years is a long
time. And it's uncomfortable for him and for us, the viewer. And I think that's a purposeful thing.
He's never met
Renee.
No. He's never met Marie. He's never met his brother's wife.
No.
It's been 20 years since he came back. Like, that blows my mind. Like, he's obviously been in touch with Marie. She's the only one that keeps him up to date with what the family newsletter is all about. But he's never met these people. And that's so important. Like, has he been running away from home for 20 years? But what you say about the continuity thing, I love that, because this is one of the, Worf's discommendation is a thread that's picked up throughout the series, but at this era of Star Trek during TNG, it's still super duper rare to have stuff that doesn't make sense in syndication. Like, you have to be able to watch each episode as a bottle episode, or it would switch. The perception was that it would switch people off, and they were like,
yes.
Oh, you're making a load of references I don't understand, so I'm not going to watch.
Right.
So to dedicate a full episode to stuff that doesn't make sense unless you've watched the first 3 years of TNG, I'm still amazed they kind of got the green light for it. But it just speaks to the power of what happens in the best of both worlds. And however this is executed, this makes the best of both worlds even better for me, because they're saying that was too fucked up for us to not spend time on it. We can't just go on a silly adventure in episode 2. We need Picard to feel this for an episode before we're comfortable with him getting back into stuff in episode 3. I just think this works as a bridge, it's a fantastic bridge out of the best of both worlds back into TNG without demeaning what happened in the best of both worlds.
The idea that you can be vulnerable after trauma and need some time before you return to work.
Yeah.
And they did that with shore leave, So I think if we had switched over into, relationship with Deanna and Riker, I don't know that it would have done the same thing that the writers are trying to do here. And they did a great job, because if you did tune into this and you didn't know about the Borg, there's a little bit of the Deanna talk at the beginning where she's just checking in. He's saying things like, what?
I know, I just love that he's like, I'm fine, and beats his chest almost. It's the least convincing I'm fine. The way Patrick Stewart delivers that I'm great is the best, least convincing I'm great
better.
ever. I'm better.
Well, he says the injuries are healing too.
Yeah.
So
the nightmares have stopped.
If they had the
liar.
nightmares are, is he a liar?
He's lying. He is 100% lying. the nightmares never stop for him. He's dreaming about that every night.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, is that canon, or are you just
It's not. It's my brain. It's my head canon.
Okay.
He's lying. He's absolutely lying.
I don't know. Like you said, the back and forth with Deanna might bother you a bit because you're right. She was being a bit sassy. I think her sassiness is kind of like, we need to talk about this. You need to dig into your why you're going to these places.
Yeah.
Like have an understanding. Where Picard is like, I just know this is where I'm going. And he didn't even know why he went back there until he had the fight with his brother.
Yeah.
It didn't really occur to him. And there are different ways to find your therapeutic route back to where you need to be to make whatever conclusion that you're ready to, move forward with your decisions. But I don't know. I think this episode plays around really well, but the writers did a good job. Let me rephrase that. This episode uses how the writers introduced these moments where if you're just dropping in for the first time, they're referencing injury, they're referencing a discommodation, whatever it's called. They're referencing Wesley with Wesley's dad and like the opening of the capsule, things like that. To where even without context about any of that, you have what you need. So yeah, maybe it feels a little bit like shocking, because what do we learn at the end of this that's really important for the rest of Star Trek?
I really do just think it allows us to continue with the rest of the season knowing and seeing that Picard has dealt with it, rather than just a conversation with Deanna that says, well, therapy's over now, thanks, counselor. Like, I think that's really what it does. It allows us to continue on with TNG without that jarring, I guess Best of Both Worlds wasn't such a big deal then. I guess he's fine with killing all of those people.
Yeah. What it does is it makes every character a little bit more understandable from our perspective as a viewer. I think it endears them to us a little bit more, and that is a big swing to take when people might be tuning in to have a fun sci-fi adventure and not a therapy episode. And this is certainly a therapy episode.
Yeah. So we get to Picard walking to the home that he grew up in, and then so many things jump into my head. First of all, his nephew meets him. Ambassador, we've seen this actor before. Did you recognize him and his squeaky voice?
Kind of.
You may have heard his voice say, I am Captain Picard.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. It's when they turn in the Rascals episode.
Yeah, it's Rascals.
Oh my God. Did I just remember the title of an episode?
You just remembered an episode title, Ambassador. Let's go. So this is the same actor that will return and play Captain Picard as a young kid.
Yes.
How fun is that?
Amazing.
That's super duper fun. So yeah, he finds his nephew who he's never met before. Like, I think this entire scene is adorable. He calls Picard his nephew. Picard's like, you must be my uncle. It's so fun to see Picard being playful. And I always crack up. What does that mean anyway? Arrogant son of a...
Yeah.
And it's such a great way to just tell the audience immediately how much Robert has issues with Picard, but just delivers it in this really funny way as well. And Picard gets like nod and call back to it. I love that introduction. I think it's an absolutely adorable introduction to Picard's family.
I'm just now remembering that.
What are you remembering, Ambassador?
I think everybody dies.
Oh, she's remembering people. She's remembering.
Am I right? Yeah. Because it feels like, I think I remember something about a fire.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God, that makes this even worse.
It's my...
Hold on a second. Let me, hold on.
Pull it out.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So I was going to be like, do we ever see these people again?
I was waiting for you to ask.
Okay. So, one of the themes I was talking about earlier, just like a little bit ago, right? Was that Robert is like, he's in just as the dangers that we choose in our life, whether you're choosing them because this is what you want or someone wanted for you, like your path, no matter what, you're not guaranteed anything, right? Like, and I think the episode hits on that, but it couldn't have known that it was hitting on that, right?
No, it couldn't have known. I mean, maybe some of the same writers are still on board, but this doesn't happen until Generations. So what you're remembering is at the beginning of Generations, the movie, Picard is called off of the USS Enterprise, off of the holodeck, because his family have burnt down in a fire.
Jesus Christ.
And then he's looking through the photo album. Deanna comes in and talks to him, and he starts describing his nephew, Renee, and so fragile. And yeah, they all burned to death in a fire. Apparently, Renee survives.
Renee does?
But yeah, Renee... Sorry. That
No,
would
he
be great.
doesn't.
Sorry. Marie survives, apparently. But
Okay.
Renee and Robert, dead. Burnt to death in the fire.
Oh, man.
How much does that change this episode, remembering that? It's honestly my least favourite part. It might be my least favourite thing in all of Star Trek. It feels so brutal and so harsh. And yes, it serves a purpose in Generations because Picard needs a reason to want to stay in the Nexus, and that is like the candle up his arse. Excuse the fire pun. Because he's lost all of his family.
No, candle jokes are not about that. Candle jokes are about Beverly.
Especially candle up the bum, sorry.
Yeah.
But Picard needs that motivation in the Nexus to have a family, etc. But it is fucking brutal to kill these people. Like, it kind of makes a lot of stuff in here moot. Because Renee doesn't get to grow up to either run the Vineyard or join Starfleet. The Picard family line doesn't continue as of Generations. It's so harsh, and it's such an interesting... It makes it really hard to watch this episode for me, knowing they burn to death.
Okay, well, this is dark and twisted.
Yeah.
But it's also real life.
It is.
And,
yes.
and this is, again, I think, intentional or unintentional. We're watching this episode. We're talking about it. So here's where we're at. I am thankful every day that something incredibly tragic has not befallen myself, my loved ones, my child. Like, when you start to think about all the things that can go wrong, it is overwhelming.
Yes.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And you could stay in your vineyard and be doing everything completely fine, and I don't know, lightning strikes and a fire starts or whatever happened. I don't even know. Do we know what happened?
No, we don't know. They just burnt to death in a fire.
We don't know.
That's it.
And like, sometimes Star Trek will just like remind you about shit that's a little bit uncomfortable. And again, I like to go to these shows to escape and not be reminded about my impending doom. But it makes this episode even more difficult to like talk about, because, you know, that last moment, for example, of like Renee leaning against the tree, looking out at the stars, knowing that he has zero future. It
completely changes the end of the episode. I don't like watching the Renee leaning against the tree thing because it's meaningless now. It doesn't mean anything.
It's not meaningless though. It's not, because it's still, we got to see, as the unseen audience watching this magical pretend people, that
right, yeah.
Even though Robert like does not want to break from tradition himself, he has allowed Renee the freedom to break from tradition in some ways. Maybe he would have been okay with him being raised up to be like Picard, you know, or choose the Vineyard, or like Wesley. He could become a doctor. He could become a pilot. Like, you don't, and anything in between, right? That's like the whole American dream-esque part of modern storytelling, is that anything is possible.
Well, I love that they meet in the middle. Picard, at the very end, when Renee is like, someday I'm going to be a starship captain, Picard says, you've still got plenty of time. Maybe you'll choose to do something else.
Right. And Picard, he gives.
Yeah. And at the end, Robert let him outside and let him stay out there and let him dream. They both meet in the middle, which is, I love that. That's really clever writing.
There is some very uncomfortable ways to tell a story. And if you know what happened to this family and then you watch this episode, which apparently we have done now.
Yes.
It's an unintentional storytelling that time now. I don't know if this is intended, but sometimes when you watch something, the writers will leave it ambiguous. They'll leave it where you don't have the pretty bow, where there isn't something comfortable to land on. This is like Picard is just reconnected with this family and come to peace, and then it's gone, you know. And we're like, so like if the Borg, for example, they're doing these things on purpose. They're ruining lives on purpose. Not in their estimation, it's actually for the greater good.
Improving their lives.
But
yeah.
They have a purpose. So they have a plot. They have a directive, right? a fire doesn't. And it's this super uncomfortable part of what I'm thinking about right now is that like Picard's struggle in those moments where he's thinking about like, what would his life have been like if he stayed Locutus, for example, just stayed part of this experience, and like his life forever has purpose. It forever has direction. And whenever the fire happened, it like that wouldn't even faze him. But here he is in real life and he's feeling these real feelings, and there's nothing, he can't get mad at Borg and go, beat them up. And
you can't get mad at the fire.
No, it's just the unfairness of reality. And I don't know that they intentionally like made us think about that, but I'm thinking about it today because of how we're watching it. How brutal.
Brutal.
From a storytelling perspective, why do you think they decided to remove Picard's family from his story?
They purely did it for the Nexus in Generations. And that's why I don't like it. Like, the live chat has weighed in a lot about this as well. It's mean-spirited. And the reason is that when Picard is sucked into the Nexus, what he's placed in is a Christmas with his wife and a bunch of children and Renee. So it is having his family die at the beginning of the movie, and he has that chat with Deanna saying, I always had a comfort knowing that Renee exists because it took the pressure off of me. I didn't have to have children. The Picard line would continue through him. And now that he's dead, he doesn't just feel the weight of losing his brother and his nephew. He feels the weight of the Picard line ending with him. Done. No more. Unless he chooses to change course and have kids, which is something he's decided pretty firmly that he's not going to do. So all of that is to build up to a reason for him to need to be in the Nexus. Because if the Nexus was just suddenly about family without that, we'd be like, I've never got this impression from Picard that he wants a family. That's weird. So it makes sense in that story, but it's cheap for the overall Picard Next Generation arc in general. Like, they are casualties to make Generations make sense. And that's like, I don't like it, Deneé. I don't like it.
Well, and I think it's also interesting to think, was there a different character that they could have killed that would have given him that same feeling? Like, what if it was Beverly? What if it was...
I mean, not one that we're still talking about like this, so I guess it works.
Know too, because saying like, oh, your brother and your nephew are dead, that didn't hit me at all when it was said watching it. But now it would. But you can't expect that the audience is going to remember this particular episode leading into Generations.
How little you know TNG fans.
But I think what makes it cheap is, spoilers again, that's just what the show is, that they do make him have a kid.
Well, so this leads quite nicely into one of my next points, which is...
just write it back around on itself, you know what I'm saying?
How weird is it to watch this with season 2 of Picard in our back pocket, which deals with his trauma of being... I think it's like, there's the basement of the house where his dad was abusing him or his mum had gone insane.
She was being kept locked away for her own protection.
Yes.
And Picard unlocked the door, which led to her hurting herself.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, well done. I think he was blaming his dad for that, not realizing how unwell his mother was.
Right.
But either way, like... that is just a huge retcon for me as well. And I don't know, this is when some people think maybe some of us think that we want origins for all of our characters. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't need them. And sometimes we don't need an entire season dedicated to them or an entire show dedicated to them. Like this, there was plenty backstory in this episode for me. Like, there was enough here that I got pretty much everything I needed out of Picard's childhood. I get from this episode more than I get out of season 2 of Picard.
I think that the show Picard is attempting to give the super fans and us even more of an understanding into how Picard has become this man. And they're doing it in family as well, like with all the conversations with his brother back and forth about duty and the revelation that he was the one who won all the awards, and he didn't want to talk about it. He wasn't braggadocious. Picard was not braggadocious about his ribbons and his awards. And his brother was like, just say it. I find
your
just
modesty unconvincing.
So family, the episode Family, tells us that Picard has always been good at doing a lot of things and driven. And that the Borg and his experience with that was him beyond a limit. He could not overcome their presence to be used as a weapon. He couldn't stop it. And he kind of reached the end of his ability. And it was very jarring and will always be jarring for him. And his return to home and family was a reminder that, well, you can live a different life and find new limits. Like Picard's knowledge would be a massive asset for the exploration of the ocean. His experience would be welcome, even maybe on the Vineyard as well. And he chooses, to return to his life as he knows that he wants to. He realizes, no, even despite all the things that can go wrong, that's, where I belong. But the true audience is maybe still curious about his emotional reserve, his fear of intimacy, if he has that, his sense of responsibility, any of those things that make Picard this like really curious kind of character. The show Picard is attempting to go into how that man was made beyond just this sort of little snippets that we see in this episode, family, and what's conversed there. They go really deep into it. Like if his mother had this mental health load and his father was very rigid, then maybe he keeps people at a distance on purpose. Maybe he has to keep his emotions in lockdown on purpose. Maybe his drive for excellence and doing well in everything else outside of the Vineyard is to keep him away from having to be in this, discomfort and vulnerability back home. And I love that. I love digging into a character. I think what we should have done after 4 years of reflection is start with the Borg, start with this season of Captain's Pod podcast with you and then watch Picard, because I feel like we would have go to that, then Generations, then go into Picard, so we can kind of see linearly how the show, because I just jump, and hindsight 2020, but also I love how we've done this. So don't take that the wrong way. But I had been so far removed from TNG when we started this podcast and we started watching Picard that I really forgot a lot about, any of this stuff. So I love the character, and I think it's a brave thing to do character development and do a deep dive into character development. I don't know that the writers could have ever known what they were doing and it folding in on itself, and, the harshness of watching this episode after having watched everything else.
Right. It's crazy.
Because we're kind of ending on family. And what a thing to end on is this sort of a moment where this episode ends with Picard and Robert having a moment together, this welcomeness back, this beautiful vineyard, and this young child. And then they take it away later.
Yeah. Oof. As much as this improves Best of Both Worlds, Generations ruins this so much.
Well, and then does Picard ruin Generations? Because if Generations is attempting to say, we're going to take away all of the things that would drive Picard back home, then the show Picard gives those back by giving him a child.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think he should have had a child in Picard. That was to fix Generations. I'm certain of it. We want to know that there are Picards out there. We don't like the idea of Picard dying Picardless. So I don't think it's necessary. I don't think him having a child, especially with Crusher, was necessary. I want to talk about Robert and his characterization in general. I love him as an addition to this episode. I think he is crucial. I love him. Yes, he starts off being very grumpy, and when he first meets Picard in the Vines, it's not even like Jean-Luc or brother, it's welcome back to Earth, Captain. You should remember where everything is. Dinner served at 8. I'm busy doing work. And once you get through the entire episode, rewatching it again is really great, because I think he's the smartest man in the episode. I think while he's also getting out some of his own frustrations with Picard being perfect and going off into space and resenting him for that and for possibly corrupting Renee, I love how deliberately he's treating Picard. I like to think that he knew Picard was coming to stay and he knew exactly how he was going to help him. Maybe it wasn't going to work, but first of all, I'm not going to treat you like you need sympathy. I'm not going to treat you like you've got cancer and you've just survived something horrible. I'm going to treat you like a bastard because I don't like you. It's going to be exactly the same. You'll get no special treatment for me. And I wonder if that's because like he knows Picard won't appreciate it. There are enough people in Picard's life that are going to be treating him like that. And Robert is going to be stable. Robert is going to be the same man that he left 20 years ago, like something dependable. And maybe he knows Picard will take comfort in knowing that Robert is still the same. Like, I can be assimilated by the Borg, I can kill thousands of people, but my bastard Robert brother will still be an absolute grump to me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Also, I kept thinking like, is it that British guy? Right? Is that guy? Like, he just has a very interesing face, and I know I've seen it somewhere
Jeremy
before.
Camp. Yeah, you'll have seen him inside, especially if your dad's been watching movies from like the 60s, 70s. He will be in one of those movies, maybe as like an army person.
Yeah.
Like, he just pops up.
Yeah, he's like, that guy. I think I've seen that guy before. I love the two brothers that are like gray hair, but still working and still strong and still able and capable and set in their ways, but still, I don't know, they know their role and they're playing it really well.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, I think their chats back and forth are pretty juicy.
Really juicy.
And they do reveal a lot about how they feel about each other. And I like that Picard doesn't crumble against his brother, that he did return needing him to be that guy that just was, like you said, the same that he left him. There is something that he needed to go back to that was just going to be the same. And his brother had worked really hard to keep it that way. The bushes were the same. The trees were the same. The house is the same. The vineyard's the same, you know.
That line is so good. I must try and help cure this poor sick vine. Like, reading that, I mean, listening to that and watching that, when you know how the episode ends, is so great because he's clearly talking about Picard. Like, this is my mission. I actually don't need you, Picard, for this mission. I just need you to like just be near, but I've got some work to do on your psyche. I don't need to talk to you right now. I don't need anything from you, but I'm gonna do my best to try and repair you. Oh, it's so good. I hate that arrogance, but I also love it.
I love it too because it's the power he has against his brother, who was the center of attention and the one that people are going to remember because they just remember Robert as the brother. And that's his power. His power over Picard is knowing before even his brother knows and kind of suffering a little bit. But I liked his relationship with his wife too. There's just this peace that he has in being this person. I don't think he needs a lot more. He's actually, I don't think that he has arrived at a conclusion that he missed his mark as some Starfleet person.
No,
like he
not
really
at all.
is finding pride and joy in his life that doesn't need a replicator, who doesn't need like synth-holic, whatever.
Yeah.
And so
he did feel the responsibility of continuing the line, knowing that his younger brother wouldn't. So there's maybe this obligation turned into genuine passion.
But it wasn't lost on me that in the fight with the brother, he ruined the vine.
Yes.
You know, that there's a certain degree where maybe
there are things that are more important.
It's kind of like, I know that if I poke and prod, I'm going to get what I need faster, but maybe it could have been done differently. Like maybe the brother could have shown some sort of personal growth and gotten there a little bit differently, but he just eggs him on. And I think he knows if Robert eggs Picard on, that it will lead to Picard finally just being able to rage out and just get it out of himself. Yeah. He needs an outlet, and Robert knows that he needs to be pushed to some sort of like limit to be able to even say it out loud. And when Picard begins to shift from this mud fight into crying and like internally letting the turmoil out as far as how the Borg used him, I was really enjoying how the actor Kemp, you said?
Yeah, Jeremy Camp.
Yeah, how he just watched and kind of nodded and said, so you're a human and you get to decide if you want to carry this burden with you below the water or above the clouds. And it just kind of sets it all right back where it needs to be, which is you're fallible, you are a great man, but you're still capable of being harmed and not having, for no other reason than life has happened to you. And that, I think what I was saying earlier, is sort of part of also the message of the show, is that sometimes just shit happens and you have to, you're going to carry it with you, and it doesn't matter where you go, it's going to go with you.
Well, and the fact that the Borg, like, because Picard's big speech is, I wasn't strong enough. Like,
yes,
because
he
forced
still
me
thinks,
to hurt people.
yeah.
They forced me to kill people. I should have been able to stop them. And Robert's point is, you've just proved you're human. Like, you feel like you've lost your humanity, but what you've done, what this experience has proved, is that you are human like everyone else. No human could have stopped them. Nobody could have stopped the Borg.
And he doesn't
from
even know
taking
who
them
the Borg
over.
is.
I think he knows more. I think he dug in and he found out, because he's like, he was aware from some knowledge. Yeah. And there is a turning point in that conversation where everything clicks into place for me for Robert. And it's after the fight, and it's Picard says, you were asking for it, and Robert says, yes, but you needed it. You've been so terribly hard on yourself. And Robert breaks before Jean-Luc does, and it is so great. Robert, like, all of this time, he's actually been harboring sympathy that he doesn't want to share. He's been harboring sadness that he can't share. He doesn't want to talk to Picard about what happened, because he knows everybody's been talking to Picard about it. He knows Picard feels like shit. But in that second, he gets to say, you've been so terribly hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. And that gives permission to Jean-Luc to open up and say, you have no idea. You don't know how hard I have been on myself. You don't know what they took from me. And it's just flipping genius. Like, it's genius writing. I can't imagine crafting a therapy episode so bravely like this, where you want to give Picard a hug, but the therapy he gets isn't a hug. It's his brother being a bastard, and then the release. It's masterful. It's so good.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I think I understand, based on that, why you would want the episode to contain more of those moments.
Yeah, I want the whole thing to be them doing
and
this.
Feel a little bit resentful for then cutting back and forth to Worf and his family and Wesley. But again, I really think that this episode is dealing with that male idea of what success looks like, what family looks like, what purpose looks like, what legacy looks like, and playing with all these different ideas in these stories of the men on the ship leaving out Riker. And I do wonder why they left out Riker. Do you know why?
No.
I mean, do you have any like guesses about why? Because we know more about Wesley than we do really Riker. Like, I think who are Riker's parents? Why isn't, do they need to have one guy that's just like the guy,
We do have episodes with Riker's father, or one episode in season 2. So we've kind of dealt with Riker's daddy issues, and they hug it out at the end. So I think the answer is, you got to pick somebody. And I don't like the choices overall. The Worf discommendation stuff was fairly recent. It happens in season 3. So it would have been fresher in people's minds.
Okay.
Wesley has been missing his dad since episode 1. So that's been mentioned numerous times. So I think they're two things that were memorable and easy to latch onto. It could have been Data dealing with his lack of a father and stuff like that.
But I feel like his story has been seen a lot. What about Geordi?
We do get a Geordi mother episode. It's not until much later. It could have been Geordi, but I think the point is we haven't had an inkling about Geordi's family at all. So it would have been
too jarring.
Too much backstory to fill in. Worf, we had something to latch on to. Wesley, we had something to latch on to. Like you said, it's stuff that fans should already kind of know about. And Riker had already been dealt with, to be honest. Unless you want to... Well, you can't deal with his mum. I think she left. I don't think she died. I think she just left his father because he's a bastard.
Yeah. I all in all, I think this is an unexpected episode, but I think it's doing some really deep deep storytelling that you kind of, I think if you watch it for entertainment, it's probably going to watch it and be like, man, that was something that I watched. But I've also been looking at some of the comments and what has been evoked from people watching this episode just in our community that have gone through, personal traumas in their life and how different scenes hit hard. Might not hit me hard because I haven't had some of those experiences, but I think it's a really brave thing to do, to talk about loss, to talk about never getting certain things back, to talk about being changed forever and that it's just going to follow you, that there is no resolution for Picard.
Yeah.
He just has to deal with this is something he just has to take with him. It's going to be a pain that doesn't go away.
Working on the ocean isn't going to fix the trauma. You're going to be living with it wherever you are.
Exactly. And as a human being watching that, knowing that all of us have experienced trauma, but there's some trauma that's just heavier than others. And while I haven't lost my parents yet, or a child, or like those kinds of things that like would really maybe be jarring in something like this, or a spouse, like there's just so much I haven't experienced yet. Like I've lost my grandparents and things like that, but I'm very lucky that I still have a lot of my core family still here with me. I imagine watching this is hard because you're like, yeah, this is just a wound that's going to carry on forever, or something was stolen from me, or trauma, being abused, being used by somebody else for nefarious purposes. Like those things can stay with you forever and they go with you forever. To have something that's meant to be entertaining, just be like, hey, by the way,
we're going to deal with it. Yeah.
We're just going to remind you that that's just how it is.
Oh, I love it.
It's brave to do. And someone in the comments said something about like that this episode, like they didn't want to do this episode. Maybe Gene didn't want to or something like that.
And Gene Roddenberry. Yeah. He was very much one episode memory kind of guy.
I can understand why. It's a big swing, and maybe on the ranking system, it might not be one of the high ones because we don't like to be reminded of our trauma.
Well, it also doesn't really work on its own. You need it
brave.
With Best of Both Worlds.
I don't think you do.
Well, no, I guess not. I guess it does work. But I was like kind of, in terms of like programming and when to cover this episode, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because the best time to cover it is right after Best of Both Worlds Part 2. But it also wasn't super in keeping with the theme. But it's one of those episodes that if you don't do it right after the Borg stuff is fresh, I think you do lose some of the impact of it.
I mean, you could say the same for if you're doing a Wesley arc. You could do the same if you're doing a Worf arc. If you don't do this episode right after whatever has happened, this doesn't hit as hard.
Small bits of the episode, though, compared to what it's dealing with Picard. Like Wesley's it's about 4 minutes of screen time and it's so tacked on.
I think that no matter where you watch Picard struggle with his humanity not being enough to overcome the Borg.
Yeah.
It works. Because this could be 15 years later and he still might not have dealt with it yet.
Well, that's why I love doing it after First Contact as well. Like there's more dealing with it here than happens in First Contact. So
canonically, which one comes first, this episode or First Contact?
Oh, this episode. Like First Contact is after the TV show's off the air.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's Generation. The TV show finishes, then Generations, then First Contact.
Okay.
Because the Enterprise D has been blown up. We're on the new Enterprise.
Oh yeah, of course. I knew that. Absolutely. Duh. Totally remember that happened. Okay, so let me let that sink in for a minute. So he has this realization. Picard has this realization that this is just going to be with him. He makes peace with his brother. He leaves and goes back to work. And then
5 years later, Generations happens. His family burns in a fire.
Okay, so 5 years later is Generations. His family dies.
And then like a year after that is First Contact.
Okay, and that's when he...
Moby Dicks.
Okay, so go with me on this. Maybe part of then Picard's rage that he was experiencing in that scene where he breaks his little ships.
Yes.
Is that emotional reconciliation, or that, it's not even reconciliation, it's that emotional turmoil, that vitriol, that acidic wound that can't heal, that he can't even... He wants to solve a problem that he can't solve.
Yeah, in so many ways.
And the Borg represent something that he can solve. And so part of his like hell bent, I'm going to murder them all to the doom of my own people, is mixed in with like, he can't save his brother and his nephew.
Yeah,
it's all kind of in there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't know. It's hard because he doesn't like explicitly mention his family at all. But
you mean Picard?
Picard doesn't mention his family at all in First Contact. But yeah, you can definitely see it all in
having
there.
Having kind of watched them out of order and then kind of going back and thinking about his pain, it's not just the Borg.
No, he has a lot of pain now.
Yeah, it's like he had found some healing with the family that he can't even have anymore.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yep, there's no going after First Contact. There's no going home to France. The house isn't there anymore.
Is it not?
It burnt down. I mean, I think they rebuilt it, but it's burned down. Yeah. One last note that I had on the Robert stuff was I love to think that when he starts the conversation and when he digs in with Picard, I love to believe he waits until he knows Picard is a few glasses of wine deep.
Oh, yes, of course.
Like he knows he's been drinking, and then he sits down and says, "What the devil happened to you up there?"
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then he starts to pick,
you were hurt, humiliated.
Then he starts to pick at the wound.
Then he picks at it, knowing that he's been lubricated by the 47.
They also know that there are certain characters who can say things to Picard that no one else would, and one is a brother like this.
The bully brother.
Who has nothing. Yeah, a bully brother. And he says, and I kind of liked it too. I love that. I love that they have made this very brave and bold, older bully brother that is leaning fully into that role because he has the confidence to know that it's needed and necessary to maintain and to continue his life, and that Picard is kind of just, he's there for a fleeting moment. Like the idea is that I think Marie is her name.
Marie, yeah.
Has kind of given an open door. You're welcome to stay here.
Yeah.
And then the friend that's working on the Louis, he's also open door. This idea that like you have a place here for as long as you want it. But the brother character is like, I don't need you. I need to be the most potent version of myself so that you can get back to whatever you need so I can do what I gotta do. I gotta farm. He's a farm boy.
I suppose I'll fix you because it's what I've been doing without you realizing this whole time. Like, and I partly wonder, like, I'll stay home and look after the farm so that you can leave and be captain. Like the reason his dad had any kind of acceptance of Picard leaving is because Robert was going to stay. Like, I wonder how much Robert actually did sacrifice so that his younger brother could leave the farm, and that he's just internalized it now and made it become his life. Like,
I got that too.
It's fascinating.
And just the little ways, like when they're hugging and just the way he just seems reflective and emotional. Yeah.
Oof, the kiss and then the hug at the end where like nobody can see Robert's face other than the camera. Marie can't see it. Renee can't see it. Jean-Luc can't see it. And he just lets like everything out for a couple of seconds. It's really beautiful. Such a beautiful piece of acting. It's so good.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy this episode more, and the more we talk about it, it's more serious. I can see why it's not always a favorite, but it's so important. It hits really deep.
I think it's.
And that's why you planned on including it from the beginning and no one. Okay.
This is an episode that transcends Star Trek for me because it doesn't need to be set in Star Trek. It can be set in any piece of media, any piece of content. Like this works no matter what it's trying to say about trauma and family just works on all of the levels. There are two really brutal things talking about how Robert is the only person who can talk to Picard like this. There's two brutal things he says to Picard. One of them is, how about you let me raise my sons the way I want to raise them? You raise your sons the way you want to raise yours. Oh, it's such a beautiful jab. Like, it's something only a brother can say. Like, he knows exactly where to tweak him.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And the other one is when he's talking about, I assume the Borg hurt you, humiliated you. I always thought you could do with a bit of humiliation. Like, he sides with the Borg. He takes the Borg side for that sentence and is like, you know what? They've done me a favor. I've always wanted that to happen to you. And that's all building towards, I'm going to get it out of you. I'm going to prod you until you break down because that's what you need. It's so good.
The hubris of writing a character that's so confidently egocentric and can say something like that. I love it because
I love it so much.
I don't doubt for a moment that this person exists and that they teeter on that line of like bitterness and respect. I don't know. It was a really, really interesting
I don't
scene
get a lot
after
of respect
scene.
until the very end. And that's why
what
I
I'm
think
saying.
it's
Yeah.
so like manufactured. Like I almost imagine he wrote this script to say to Jean-Luc. Like he knows exactly what he's going to say to him and at which point he's going to say it.
The other comment was wanting to see him out of control, like having drank a little bit too much. And
now there's something I'd like to see.
Yeah. There's a richness between the two of them that I definitely think is the only major thing I would change about this episode, is wanting to see more of it.
Yeah, more
see
of it.
Picard out
Let's
there.
go.
There's so much that you can like glean from vineyard symbolism as well. The idea of cutting off a part of you that is like when the brother was talking about the sick vine, the symbolism of it being his own brother was lost on me until we talked about it today. But I wasn't thinking about that because I didn't know, where it was all going. But what I was thinking about is the idea of the Borg cutting off part of themselves, that knowing that it's not going to be part of the collective, like it stops. And there's a lot of symbolism in there for me there that, we could have seen him down on Earth for a while. There could have been an interesting mission up on the ship that's juxtaposed with Jean-Luc, getting comfortable in his role and then realizing that, no, I'm not comfortable here. This isn't where I belong. But he kind of goes in knowing it's not where he belongs anyway. Even when Louis is giving him an opportunity to talk to this council about his proposals for the Atlantis project, I don't know, like he was even then like, no, I'm not interested. He knew why he went there. He went there to just reflect and reconnect with something and touch Earth for a little bit, literally touch Earth for a little bit.
But I think what he ended up challenging himself on was, wait a second, there was a twinge there. Whereas the
temptation.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I would have laughed at Louis. I would have completely thought this was ridiculous. And he wants to explore, wait a minute, why doesn't this disgust me? Mm-hmm. And that's scary to like be so certain. We talk about this in the outtakes. To be so certain about a career path and to know what your purpose in life is must be so comfortable. And then to have that tempted by something back on Earth, the antithesis, under the ocean compared to outer space, like to be even 1% tempted must shake him to his core. So it's like, no, I need to look into this. Like, I know I'm not staying here, but I need to figure out why I'm so scared of going back to the Enterprise. Like, and I think that's a really important element of this story as well, to have a temptation and a reason to stay on Earth that we don't believe is real, but that Picard is like, that twinge something that didn't exist pre-Locutus. So I need to work out what that is.
Yeah, and I like that the episode didn't give him some sort of reason to go back to the ship by them calling him and being like, away, team to captain. Like, we have an emergency and we need you.
No, it's his choice.
He resolved himself to return on his own time.
And it also wasn't some lost love either. That would have been a temptation as well. Like some lost childhood love reappears or something like that. I didn't need that.
Yeah, Beverly's crying because her time capsule had, what's his name? Jake's perfume. Or his cologne and Jack. Yeah. And he's, she needs to talk to her friend. Like none of that's present.
Let's swing into that real quick. Does it feel as tacked on to you as it does to me? It feels so superfluous that from the lack of screen time to when she's showing Wesley, there's like a 30-second scene where she shows him the box and then he gets the thing and then goes off to the holodeck. But then we immediately cut back to Worf. It's like, it feels like it's so underserved and underdone. Like, I know it's saying something about Wesley, but it almost feels insulting putting it in there because it takes up such little time.
Yeah, but I don't think that it should have taken up more time necessarily.
I didn't cut it out entirely.
I don't know, because I think would it have felt the same without that perspective of the son raised by the mother without the father influence? I think I think the writers are really trying to talk about influence and grief being inherited in a way. Like, I guess the question we ask ourselves is like, does Wesley's storyline link to Picard's storyline? Does Worf's storyline somehow link to Picard's storyline of what Picard is obviously searching for, like touchstone? Well, so is Worf. and so is Wesley, you know? So
The Wesley
I don't
just
mind
feels
it.
a little bit out of the blue for me because I mean, Beverly says it herself. I didn't want to bring this up. First of all, Beverly, how do you forget that this fucking hologram from your dead husband exists to give to your son?
Okay,
how
hold on a
careless is
second.
that, forgetting the hologram exists?
I love this idea that she is such a mad scientist. There's been a couple things I've been doing lately whenever I've been watching episodes of TNG and she'll pop in and say something and she's like, I wish I could just take apart that leg a little bit longer and look at it. You know, she has this bit of a mad scientist, you know, thing with her that I totally believe that she would forget in her grief or whatever to put like a little reminder in 18 years to open the time capsule or whatever. But I think that, I mean, she's busy. She has a career. She has a lot of people. She's saving lives. I don't think that she feels like she needs Jack to do all that she let him go a long time ago. And Wesley is always learning to let go the idea of what having a father would have been like. And that's something that, you know, and I can't speak for anybody who has been in a situation like that because I don't have that story personally, but I see it in movies and TV shows about this idea of an orphan or someone who doesn't have a parent. Just to always wonder. There's like a little bit of them that's always just kind of like you kind of have to wonder. So I think that this is an interesting perspective. I don't mind it. I also don't hate Wesley like some people do. Wesley was a character that I really enjoyed watching in TNG. I could kind of relate to him because he was closer to my age than anybody else on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the point.
Yeah, and the idea of like a young person being able to be successful amongst the adults and kind of, I don't know, giving him also gravity, giving him backstory, giving him tragedy and perspective, and being able to funnel in a lot from the father figure doing his father speech that we kind of got to see and wondering, okay, what are the writers wanting us to feel in this moment of this father that never got to be, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I think his speech is beautifully written, and I think all of the things being said are important and valid. I don't fully get the connection to this episode other than family. Like that's, I just feel like this is better served in a different episode. I think there is so much juice to have with Picard, and then if you have to have something on the Enterprise with Worf, I think there's plenty there to dig into. I really like the Worf stuff. Like you'll appreciate it more when you know what he's talking about. Obviously, Ambassador, sorry. But him wanting to spare his family from his dishonor, even though they're not Klingon and it doesn't matter, is just really beautiful. How his parents tiptoe around him, wanting to respect that he doesn't want to talk about this traumatic event, is beautiful as well. They're talking to everybody. They're talking to Geordi. They're talking to the crew to be like, is Worf okay? How's he doing? Like, instead of talking to him about it, to spare him the pain of having to relive it.
I just took a brief moment and did a quick Google search. Is it true that Wesley's father died because of Picard?
It was on an away mission that Picard was in charge of, yes. So the responsibility is with him. Oh, sorry. Did you not know that?
That is so...
This is why we need to go from episode 1 onwards, Deneé. I want to do this sequentially from now on.
Oh my God.
Picard is literally... This gets worse. Picard is the one that tells Beverly and Wesley that Jack is dead. And that comes up in Encounter at Farpoint in episode 1, but we did that a while ago. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking to myself, like, what ties these together? Like, what ties these two things together?
Picard is the closest version of a father that Wesley has.
Right. And that's what I was thinking about as well, is when Robert says, like, you raise your son how you want to raise your son, first thing I'm thinking about is Wesley.
It is. Yeah, I guess. De facto. Yeah.
And here he's like Wesley is going from being this genius kid to a grieving son. Like they're giving his character something. I think Worf's story might be more out of place in this than Wesley's.
Perhaps. Yeah, I think I enjoy the Worf stuff more. I think I have more depth to that. Like there's more, I think there's more variation in that. Like the discommendation thing is just more interesting to me. And I think that obviously is because I have the backstory. But I don't know, the Wesley, there's so little that.
Okay, but go with me on this. Go with me on
Okay.
this. It's not just about Wesley. It's about Wesley's father and how open he was in his holodeck thing to just be vulnerable, to talk about his fears, how
Almost
he feels
as if
bonded.
he knew he was going to die.
He was being so raw and emotional.
Yes.
And I think like we're getting to see in modern day terms, the most healthy version of honesty from a father figure, from a men's emotional standpoint figure in this episode.
Yeah, he's apologizing for things he hasn't done yet.
Yeah, he's super self-aware that he's going to fuck up and super self-aware about like feeling a bond, but not knowing what he's going to do and wondering what his child is going to be like. And kind of like this openness. And maybe that's the writer's attempt in the 90s to kind of go, God, I hope this is what men are going to be like in like later.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because you've got Picard who isn't entirely healthy in how he's approaching what we now know is a bunch of fucking trauma. And his way of dealing with it is to kind of not deal with it and just kind of go with it until he runs into something. Then you've got Worf who we're not talking about it at all. We're not talking about anything at all. This is never going to come up at all.
Kill it, send it to Earth, give it to my grandparents. And then you've got
Wesley who is, fumbling his way forward as a young man looking for people to kind of go, who am I going to shape myself after? You've got Geordi doing Geordi shit and O'Brien doing O'Brien shit and Data doing Data shit, but we don't really have a lot of like in this episode. Like, I mean, fucking O'Brien is like women, am I right? Like,
oh man, that doesn't help, does it? My mother is always
maybe
late.
Don't pattern yourself
Women.
about that. but Wesley's dad has given us a new version of what it can look like to maybe not repress your emotions and have like a healthier sort of model. Like Picard is confrontational and collapsing into his sort of like, he's confronting his brother and he's like falling apart. And Worf is sort of like almost resigned to this unconditional human love. And he kind of finds his way to it, but he's still pretty closed off. And Wesley is sort of open honesty, because even Beverly, when she's talking about it, she's like, I'm still mad about it. I'm still frustrated. Like, I'm still struggling with your father's death. That level of just saying what it is and not feeling like you have to like hide things from your child, show them the emotions you're feeling and show them how to work through it is really powerful. But Wesley doesn't have that father figure the same way that, you would think of the quintessential father figure being around or whatever. So there's just this like, I don't know. I think they're doing something really interesting here. And that's the only healthy model that I'm seeing in this episode. I think I love that. And I want that. I feel like if Picard had the freedom to speak that openly about his fears and then just like embrace his humanity, he wouldn't be needing to get drunk with his brother and roll around in mud to get there. You know what I'm saying?
If he had a dad that was that open.
Yeah.
I completely
And then
agree.
he accidentally killed that guy, right? So that's interesting to me in a weird way. Like, this is just also like, I don't know. I'm the person that's at the
conspiracy
board
pin
with the
board?
conspiracy pin board. Yes, I'm doing this sort of like connective thing.
Guinan does a really good job of connecting it together when she's talking to the parents in so many tear-jerking scenes in this. When she asks about raising Worf, and they're both like, we just had to accept that he's a Klingon. We weren't going to force him to eat human food. We were going to let him eat Klingon food, let him explore his Klingon heritage, and just trust that he is going to grow into the man he's going to grow into be. And Guinan says there are so many parents that could learn from you. And like, I think that's the thread that could tie it together. Like, you have that extreme of parenting, which is just let them find their own path.
Feral child
No,
hearing.
not feral. No, not that. You're still involved. You're still contributing. And that's kind of, I think, if Wesley's dad had a chance, that's what he would have done.
Maybe.
And then Picard at the opposite end of the spectrum, which was his father saying, you have to do this.
Right.
And him having to butt against
Very
it.
like
I think
militant.
there is if that's the thread that holds it all together, I think that's probably what it is.
Maybe the
As
word
well as
family,
trauma.
maybe the problem is this episode shouldn't be called family.
Yeah, I agree. It should
really
be called fucking trauma. Like, dealing with your shit is what it should be called.
Yeah.
Season 4, episode 2, dealing with your shit.
Yeah.
But it should be called, I don't know, like parents or offspring. We already have an episode called Offspring. But Worf's parents both died in tragedy as well. They were both killed, which is why he ends up on Earth with the Rashenkos.
All three have killed parents.
Dead parents, yes, correct. Yeah. Although we don't know that Picard's mother was tragically dead at this point. That hasn't been written
They
yet.
may have I wonder if they have a briefing. They haven't revealed it, but mostly
so.
Picard's mother died. They might not know how yet because it hasn't been written, but they just kind of know that sort of thing. And father
I hope they
was
had
very
a Picard
militant.
Bible. I don't think they did.
But yeah. And then, obviously, Worf's parents, so they died.
They died, yeah.
Okay.
Killed by Romulans.
So,
shit.
He's absolutely an orphan.
Yep, he's an orphan.
And then you have Wesley, who is a single parent. So they kind of...
Wesley's dad died tragically, yeah.
And they could have done this with Riker. They could have done this with anybody, but... this episode seems to be about what everybody is kind of carrying, the baggage, the weight that they're carrying. Worf is carrying the baggage of his shame, carrying the baggage almost of the shame of his parents as well, kind of wishing that they were a little bit different. Picard is carrying baggage of the Borg, maybe even baggage of his upbringing too. And Wesley has baggage. He's got just this unknown of his family, and he's kind of coming face to face literally with his father. So maybe it's what we carry home.
I mean, I think...
Or inheritance, and it's just trauma.
I think there is an episode called Inheritance as well.
Oh, that's funny.
Actually, it's a Worf episode, I think. I think family ends up working because it is about how, in each case, it's how family gets you through trauma. So for Picard, it's his brother. For Worf, it's his adopted parents. For Wesley, it's his mum and the hologram of his dad. So I think family is as good a title as anything.
Blood and mud.
Blood and mud. Yeah, wine and mud would be great. Wine and mud. There we go. But yeah, I think I struggle with the Wesley thing because it's so important to short shrift it like this in a few minutes bugs me, especially at the detriment of Picard when we could have more. It could be a whole episode about Picard. It really could. It really, really could. So no matter how good the Wesley stuff is, the fact that it's 5 minutes of filler, it just doesn't do the story service for me.
I love the idea that this episode only exists for us to see today because the writers decided that we need to show people that the trauma is real, and rather than just walking back to the bridge like nothing happened, we don't always need heroes like that. We have those stories forever. And this is before Marvel took off.
Yes.
And we just see these
Marvel
characters.
doesn't deal with trauma like this. Okay, WandaVision.
Aside,
sorry, WandaVision is the exception.
WandaVision had to have a whole episode, it had to pull away from the big screen and put it into a show to even get that. But there was no crazy things going on here. This is emotional reality. And even if the concept wasn't really enjoyed, that it doesn't belong because there's no sci-fi plot to this. Mm-hmm. There's some sci-fi conversations about replicators.
That's the Atlantis Project. Come on. How are you going to get the build-up of the underside on the mantle without destabilizing the tectonic plates?
But that the men who were in charge of this, they fought essentially to keep this in there to show young men out there that
in
sometimes you really don't need to go back to work.
Yeah.
You really do. It's really fun to watch them writing something in for themselves through these characters because it makes it more real. And I think that's a really important thing that storytelling has kind of evolved into, because now we see that's very common for even bad guys to have backstories. We're not just, okay, but
evil
why Thanos?
Evil. Yeah. They should have called this episode The Man Trap. That's what it should have been called.
That's hilarious.
All right, Ambassador. Any final thoughts on this episode? Now that we've talked about it and digested it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the episode? Do you like it? Does it work for you overall? I'm not going to say enjoy it, but do you agree that it's important?
Yeah, I do think it's important. I do, in some ways, wish that some of the intentionality of the writers had been a little bit more on the nose at points.
How so?
Because it's a conversation like this that leads to that revelation for me. I like this episode more having talked to you about it and having had a conversation with an audience about it.
Yes.
Than I did just walking away from it.
100%, yeah.
So is the average viewer going to watch this episode and then spend a couple of hours diving into what was being done? Are they going to look up and see, what the writers are talking about after it aired, or or is it just going to be like is it lost? So I feel like maybe there could have been a little bit more on the nose in the episode to kind of help people hook into it. But it seems like it kind of had to be like a little bit of a push and pull to even get it produced. So
completely. And I genuinely think this is an artifact of it coming out in 1990, certain rules that they still had to stick to. And just the fact that you're cutting between, we can't just have an A plot unless it's a cliffhanger or unless it's a big adventure. We can't just have an A plot that is just Picard talking about his feelings. We have to be back on the Enterprise at some point. We have to show engineering. We have to do something techie. So yeah, I think this episode, what just jumped into my head is The Last of Us season 1 episode 5, I think, which is the one that doesn't have Ellie or Joel in it at all. It's about Joel and Ellie's friend and his relationship that he has before the ending of his story. And it's completely separate from anything to do with the rest of that season, but it shows a very human story that's happening. And you can do that today. I don't know if you can really do that back in TNG land of 1990 like this.
Yeah. I would give this episode 4 pips after our conversation, but just walking away from it, I think I would give it like a 2.5.
For me, it's hard because Picard is 4 pips. The fact that it exists in 4 pips, the fact that I did it is 4 pips, but it dips a fraction because of Wesley. And as much as I like the Worf stuff because of Worf as well, but I'm still sticking with 4 pips. It's not enough to drop it down a notch for me.
It would be 4 pips if Deanna's conversation with Picard had been about the father connections.
Who now?
If Deanna.
Who? All of her counselling happens off screen, Deneé. It's off screen.
And I would also do it if like the Worf conversations, like if Guinan had instead of being like, Worf looks to the stars and he sees home. If Guinan had said something about family connection, like if the guiding undertone of what they're really trying to reach for in this episode, as far as like the interconnectivity of these storylines being about father lines or counseling,
a bit more consistency
whatever,
in the theme.
If there had just been a little bit more there, somehow I would give this more pippage. But it's our conversation.
You'd give it more than 4? You'd give it more than 4?
No,
I
would give it 4.
Oh,
I would give
you're
it
not
4.
giving it 4. I thought you were.
No, I can't give it 4. Until this conversation, it wasn't a 4. So I'm going to say 2.5.
2.5. Whoa, Nelly.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Don't apologize. Don't you dare apologize.
It feels like all of the pieces were there. It just needed to be massaged a little bit more.
Okay, completely fair. I get it. I'm sticking with 4.
There is such a reaction. Wait, why can't we give it 4? Because it took a 2.5 hour long conversation for me to understand what I think this show is about.
Because that's outstanding Star Trek. That's why. I think it will age. It will age.
Okay, I'll go 3.
Don't you
I'm
dare.
Gonna go 3.
Don't you dare.
I'm
2.5.
changing mine to 3. I'm changing mine to 3. I will give it a 3. I'm going to give it 3 out of 4.
Lock it in.
Canonically, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4.
She said the C word. It's now locked in as a 3.
It's locked in.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
I think this will age like a fine wine, probably a 47, something like that. Well, Ambassador, this will not be the most emotional episode of Star Trek you ever see. It might be the most emotional one we ever do on the pod. I'm not sure I can put you through the episodes that will break you even more than this one. Dear listener, hello. You will have just concluded the anniversary Locutus arc of Captain Spod. I hope you enjoyed it very, very much. We hit some huge episodes. I am just a happy buzz of awesome Star Trek right now. Next week in your podcast feed, we will be diving straight into Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2. We don't know for certain they're going to drop both at once, but I'm pretty sure they are. We are going to do them all together. It's just too difficult with scheduling and whatnot to separate them, so we'll do both episodes together. So yeah, Starfleet Academy will be the next thing that we do. We'll handle predictions at the top of next week's episode. I love going into Star Trek blind with you, Ambassador. I'm also so fucking nervous about this show. I really am. But I do love that we get new Star Trek. Ambassador, any final thoughts about the season and then the anniversary of Captain's Pod?
Nothing that I haven't shared. I think in the show itself, thinking like if we had watched all of this before we watched Picard, how different things would be about my memory of like what makes Picard the character. But I'm really glad to go back and touch on it because it's been fun to reflect, and I've been kind of surprised at how much I remember. I remember some pretty sad things in this episode today. That
you did.
I'm sure you would have told me about. You would have talked about it.
Oh, 100%. I would have absolutely mentioned Generations because you can't, like, knowing that these characters burned alive, it's rough.
It is very rough.
But I guess my final question is, like, having hit the best of both worlds, like the most iconic, hugest two-parter, how do you feel having hit some really iconic TNG that you'd forgotten about?
I've loved the return to TNG, honestly. I love these characters so much. It makes me want to just have it on. It reminds me when your dad was here because it was just on all of the time.
I had it on last night as well. I just threw on some episodes of TNG. I love this show. I was like, I could be watching something for work right now, but I'm just going to put some TNG on. So
the sad part is that when you find something that you love, like for me, TNG, there's never enough of it, right? Like I'm always thinking about, I want more. I would even more from the episode we watched today. I want more. But I'm glad to have had it at all because there's always a chance that the shit that we like, it gets canceled. They don't renew seasons. And in the way that shows are put together now, it's so different than TNG. TNG, you're like, okay, you're in it for like, I don't even know how many episodes were in one season. Was it 20 something?
In what, sorry?
One season?
It varied, but anywhere between 23 to 26 episodes.
Yeah, we don't get that anymore.
We don't get that.
We don't get 26. We get 8.
That's it.
And I'm so happy to have so much content to watch and to look at and make my own little reality of and wonder what was intentional from the writers and what was accidental. So yeah, it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that we're doing the podcast and that we're going to continue. I'm very excited for Academy. That seems like it could be really, because this is the one we've been talking about that's sort of a new fresh take, yeah?
Yes, this is a fresh take. This isn't necessarily, as far as we know, on a starship. This is at a newly established Starfleet Academy, and this is the first year of cadets in the year 3000-ish. 3099, 3100, something like that. It's after Discovery anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I genuinely am. I'm going to reserve my skeptical brain. I like getting new Star Trek. Okay, well, until next week, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to however many years of Captain's Pod you've been listening to. And here's to a couple more. Let's do a few more years, yeah?
Okay.
But until next week, I'm Captain Ian, and I have all of the specs and diagrams at home. From me... I have all of these specs and diagrams at home.
Oh, you're so right. Oh my God. And it's a book about how to advance my career through marriage. From me.
Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Captain's Pod. If you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, you can send us an email to ian@iananddeneé.com. And if you want to support the show and get the episodes early, you can go to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/iananddeneé. If you want to catch the show live, we have those links down in the description for YouTube and Twitch. And then I think I'm supposed to close this hailing frequency, so bloop bloop, we're out.
Tell the good listeners about your induction into your first
Dippy biscuit?
Dippy biscuit. Yeah. Something that every English person has experienced at some point. Welcome to the club.
Also, welcome to the club of listening to Ian eat while talking.
I don't think you can hear that.
I'm
not crunching. It's a very soft meat.
You can tell you've got something in your mouth.
No, you can't. No, you can't. There's no way you can tell I'm masticating as I say this sentence.
As you drool? Well, in order to tell this story, I do have to say that my daughter was gifted a 5-foot-long candy bar thing. It's a Hogwarts candy something, and we thought it was going to be one gigantic Hogwarts candy bar, but it turns out when we opened it up, it's a whole bunch of individually packaged, what looks to be a candy bar, but really it still wasn't a candy bar. A biscuit wafer that has a a solid piece of white or dark chocolate on the top, and then a quote unquote biscuit, an English biscuit underneath the chocolate.
Yeah.
In either vanilla or chocolate.
Yeah, it's like a layer for the English among us. It is like a single layer bourbon biscuit with white or dark chocolate drizzled on top of that bourbon biscuit.
I had never had one before. I tried one and it was terrible, pretty much.
Really not good. Terrible.
Yeah, very bland and dry tasting. Although right now I'm literally eating one again because I have no sense of...
Well, I assumed you had it with your tea.
I'm not. I'm just eating it right now.
Oh, okay. That's horrible. Because we deduced that this would be a good dunking biscuit because it's so dry, but it would be good to dunk in tea and then num num num.
So yeah, of course, just like everyone who's had an Oreo in the past, I just dropped it into my drink. Although usually, of course, Oreo is with cold milk, and then this is like a dunking biscuit, so you dunk it into your tea. And with an Oreo, you have like a moment where you can reach in and grab it. They kind of float to the top before it absorbs. Not this one. This one, you dunk it for a second or less, and it's fine. That's how you eat it. So when I dropped it, it never resurfaced. There was never a chance. It just sunk to the bottom. And then I, for the next 30 seconds, just watched little bubbles come up as it cried out for help from the bottom of my tea.
That is a subject that many English people could write an entire book on, is the different biscuits and their level of dunkability. Some of them are very sturdy and they can survive like a lot of dunking. Like a hobnob biscuit could survive a lot of dunking. Like maybe you could get, I want to say like 6 or 7 seconds of dunking in there, but something like your average digestive, 0.8 of a second at most, and then you've got to pull that bad boy out.
I don't understand, and I maybe never will, why it's called a digestive.
It's to help with the digestion. I know I would eat them when I was sick as a kid. I'd be given crackers and digestive biscuits or toast, unbuttered toast.
You were given just toast?
Yeah, that's how you get better. Eat dry toast.
Eat this dry toast?
Yeah.
I was given toast as well, but there was always butter on it.
No, butter's too rich. One must punish oneself to get the demons out of them. I don't hate to say it. It's fine. Iris has become a proper Star Wars girl. Like Lego Star Wars. If we want to get kids into Star Trek, we're not going to. There's not enough 8-year-old Star Trek out there. There is such a huge gap that even Prodigy isn't filling. And Lego Star Wars did so much for Iris's love of Star Wars. Like playing through the game was great. Building Lego sets was great. Star Trek does not have that entry point for the under 10s yet. Unless I'm missing it. Like someone tell me if I'm missing it. But yeah, she is like all in on Star Wars right now. She loves it. And hey, as long as she's a nerd, I'm here for it. Find some kind of nerdery.
What is her favorite character?
R2-D2.
Favorite character. Is that right?
Yeah, it's R2-D2. Out of the humans, her favorite is Luke. Young Luke Skywalker specifically. She doesn't like him in Return of the Jedi when he has all of his black Jedi Master robes on. She likes Luke in The Empire Strikes Back when he's able to do Force things but isn't completely dressed in black.
So it's not too late. Maybe it's the voices that call him back from the void of whatever he's been, assimilated into.
The voices that call him back from the void. Whenever we do predictions, like this is an episode we've seen in passing. It's one with Berlinghoff Rasmussen.
I have no idea who that is, but that's an amazing name.
You say that every time I mention it.
Shit.
It's the guy that comes from the future, pretending to be from the future, but he's actually from the past, and he's stolen a time machine to then steal data and technology and things.
Ah, yes, Rasputin.
He has to kind of pretend he knows more. So whenever the crew of the Enterprise says something, he'll then repeat it back in that mysterious fashion. Like, the battle at Penthar 5. And that's kind of what I do with your predictions, is I just repeat them back a little bit. Like, I'll repeat back a crucial sentence with an air about it when I know it's important.
Oh, Lord. I've had the flu once. Oh. Lord.
Closed container.
Man, that thing hit the ground hard.
No, it's open. It broke. No. It was a closed container. It's now a leaking closed container.
Yeah, I think you may have
That's okay. The carpet just has a puddle now. Should I use my hoodie to clean it up?
No, it's
just water. Okay.
That's our quote for 2026. It's just water.
We both said it's just water, but for different reasons. You said it's just water. It'll clean itself up and evaporate. I meant it's just water, as in it won't do my hoodie any harm if I clean it up.
Let me just go to fucking thesaurus.com.
Seriously, decimate is such a misused term.
Let's see. Okay. Here's the AI overview. Thank you, Google, for changing how I read everything. Decimate, historical and literal meaning, to kill every 10th person.
Exactly.
A Roman army practice where lots were drawn and 1 in 10 soldiers was executed for cowardice or mutiny. Common modern usage, to destroy a large proportion.
It's completely misused.
You know, sometimes you have to let language evolve, Ian.
You don't. But what are the point in words?
Decimate has been assimilated.
You can break it down and it makes sense.
Yes,
you can give it a literal meaning.
You know, literally, you can do. Even the word literal isn't literal anymore.
No, but it is if you use it correctly.
And I'm glad that we're doing the podcast and that we're going to continue. I'm very excited for
There
Academy. That seems like it could be really, because this is the one we've been talking about that's sort of a new fresh take, yeah?
No, it's not the comedy. No, that's coming.
Comedy?
What did you just say?
A new fresh take. Like it's
Academy. I thought you said this is the comedy that's coming.
Are we watching Academy?
Roll back.
The year 3000. In the year 3000. Do you know what that is from?
Nope.
Okay, moving on. Okay, you ready?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Me
ready.
either.
Yeah,
I'm not ready.
I'm going to do it. Well, I'm ready now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm cool.
Okay, are you sure?
Yep.